Hey everybody, what's going on? It is what day is today, Dan? Is it like Tuesday,
Tuesday the
19th?
19th.
Right on. This is Coach's Playbook. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the difference between simulated trading and trading with your real money and sort of the psychology that goes into that. But first, Mick, I am told we have someone to congratulate.
We do have a shout out to Brian Bassentram, up about $2,500 trading the NASDAQ, currently in the markets.
Nice.
Nice. Isn't it your like anniversary too?
Yesterday, 1 year anniversary, 1 year wedding anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it would never last. But anyway, I know something we've talked about outside this show is that there really is kind of a big psychological barrier when you start using your own money as opposed to the ones and zeros in the simulated account. So I think we could kind of go around the horn here and kind of get your feelings on how the transition was for you and what you would be looking to do. So Dan, you look perky this morning. Why don't you kick us off?
Well, I think it's a huge thing, especially here in the trading combine. A lot of traders get started in that simulated environment. And I think any aspect you go in the trading world, you start in some sort of fake money, whether you're just sitting there writing it on trading cards or, paper trading, as they say, or hopping on a demo account or a sim account. The money's not really a realistic thing. And so you get kind of used to that. You get a little comfortable with that. And as soon as you go from that simulated environment to the live environment, Hoag's got a great explanation of 2x4s. So we'll let him talk about that one. But I think ultimately when you kind of make that change, all of a sudden you watch that P&L and it goes from something simulated, something not realistic, to real dollars and cents. That's your money that's going up and down. And the last thing you want to do is lose the money you have there. I think ultimately what happens, whether, you're with Top Step or you're opening up a brokerage account, you kind of have that feeling that the money's already gone. And so you start to trade kind of like you did in the simulated environment. All right, the money's out there. I've paid it away. But that's not really the case. You have to be very cognizant of that, but you want to trade the same way you've been trading in the simulated environment. That's what you trained at. That's what you got, honed in on these skills. So you want to get to that point. And if it's a little bit more time, if it's trading small, you want to get to that point where you're not focused on those P&L ups and downs, a tick here, a tick there. Ultimately, if that $12.25-50 or whatever is going to make a difference to you, you probably got to get out of that live environment, get back to that simulated environment. So I think for me,
I
was just going to say, I think for me, the biggest thing was you spend so long in that simulated environment. When you get to that live environment, it becomes real. And I think that's that big change. It goes from sim to real, and not just in dollars and cents, but in every trade that you're taking. You're now a market maker. You're now part of that liquidity that we see when CNBC gets on and says NASDAQ traded 1.2 million contracts today. You're part of that 1.2 million. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, a special feeling for sure. I want to hear about these 2x4s at some point because I had not heard that example.
I'm curious myself.
Yeah, let's please clarify that, Hoag.
Okay, sure. First off, I think that there's a very useful reason for the simulated accounts. You want to learn to use the trading platform. That's one. You want to start to look at different products that you might be thinking about actually trading. You want to start working on your strategy, of course, in a simulated account. And then at some point, the simulated account it might even kind of seem easy. I get a lot of traders that say, I was trading on a sim and I thought I was going to just kill it. And when I got to the trading combine, I couldn't do anything. It seemed like I couldn't do anything right. So this is where the 2x4 explanation comes in. If you're trading on sim, it's almost like if you have a 20-foot long 2x4 laying on the floor, okay, and provided you're able to kind of walk or dance or do things like that. If I told you go from one end to the other on that 2x4 and don't touch the floor, you'd probably be able to do it relatively easily. It's not that far to the floor. So the first time you do it, you just kind of walk across it, dance across it like it's no big deal. Well, now getting into, let's say, the trading combine, you're in step one, there's going to be a different feel. It's going to be more difficult to make the hard trading choices that you found so easy on the simulator. Now that 2x4 that is on the floor is now 2 feet off the floor. It's the same process to go from one end to the other of the 2x4, but there's a chance, hey, it's 2 feet off the floor. If I step off or I fall off, I might hurt myself. There's a little bit more risk involved. Get to step two, now it's 3 feet off the floor. You're closer to where you want to get to, which is the funded account. And so now there's even a little bit more risk, or the feeling of risk involved. So now we're going from one end of the 2x4 to the other side of the 2x4 with even a little bit greater risk of injury if we were to jump off or fall off. Get to the funded account. Now, basically, it's 4 feet off the floor. It is a balance beam. We're pretty sure if we fall off, pretty good chance we're gonna hurt something, but it's still the same process. If we could still view that 2x4 as on the floor and walk across it like it was still on the floor, the process is easy. It's just walking across this 2x4. But now with the risk involved, there's that mental game that gets into your head that says, oh boy, I better not misstep here. So you're really cautious. And sometimes in being so cautious, we create the exact thing that we fear and we end up falling off. Hopefully we don't hurt ourselves. But think about going from a simulated account with that 2x4 on the floor, funding your own account for the first time and going straight from on the floor to 4 feet high, where the risk is going to get greater. And then start adding leverage, start trading bigger. That 2x4 just keeps getting higher and higher. It's the same process, just more difficult to make the hard decisions that you have to make as a trader. There's the
yeah, I like that
2x4
analogy.
example.
It definitely the one time I think I've had an honest to God panic attack in my life is I was hiking with my wife, and it was one of those cliffs where there was like 18 inches, which is wider than 2x4, but there was enough of a straight drop on the other side that I started thinking about walking. And I had not thought about walking in 20 years, and suddenly I just could not move my legs. It just kind of collapsed. And I think I see that sometimes when people go to the sim. I know me personally, once it was real money, I held on to things way too long and didn't bait out of things early enough. I would hold on to the losers longer because helplessly thinking they would come back, and I would dump out of winners too soon because it's real money.
Yeah, if that
So,
were me,
Mick,
Jack, on
what about
that
you?
cliff with 18 inches to walk on, I probably would have just said, skip it. I'll just stay here. I'm not real big on
Yeah,
heights.
I mean,
I
I'll
would have
tell
been
that full
holding onto
story
the
sometime.
wall.
There wasn't really an option. I would have needed to had some poor porter carry me back a couple days, and yeah, that would not be great.
Just send
So,
a
Mick,
helicopter or something. Just come get me off this thing.
oh please, yeah, I hate heights. Mick, did you train on the simulator first?
I did, yeah. I see a lot of value in the simulator. Before I started trading for myself, I was trading on sim probably close to a year. And I think sim's really beneficial. You can, learn things about the marketplace. There's so much you can learn on sim. There is, no skin in the game. It's simulated money. So there's a huge difference between trading fake money and real money. What I see a lot with people that pass through the trading combine that earn these funded accounts is emotions. Number one, you've just gotten to somewhere you want to be. You've hopefully developed a little bit as a trader, but you've reached the profit target and you've earned the account that you wanted. So I see a lot of excitement in that transition from sim to live. I see a little bit of nervousness too, now that you are trading money. And that can be a good thing. You know, some people's nerves negatively affect them at times. It can also positively affect you in your decision making at times too, knowing that it's real. So a lot of times, you know, unfortunately, I see people that just start in these funded accounts, and now that they're trading live money and they want to impress the firm and, you know, make a bunch of money, only to have, you know, negative results. So it's one thing I just wanted to mention to for people to be conscious of. We want you to, you know, trade slowly, your strategy. No need to do anything differently. I think sim can be very helpful. It was helpful to me understanding, you know, tick values. What am I looking at when there's a 20% move in the grains and I've got, you know, 1 on or 4 on. I think sim gives you what you want out of it. If you're looking to work on your strategy and become disciplined, it's very good. On the other hand, it's very easy for sim to give you bad habits, basically. I know when I was trading sim, I took it very seriously. Some days I just wanted to see big P&L swings, and I'd put, you know, stick a 50 lot on there. That doesn't help me. That didn't make me any better. And potentially that could hurt me as someone who's also trading a live account at the same time. You know, I hear a lot of people say that, oh, you know, I had a bad day in my funded account. I'm going to go switch to sim and, you know, see if I can make some money. Many times, you know, you could be doing that for the wrong reasons. And if you're just trading to trade, you know, you should be trading your strategy only when you see opportunities that, you know, are in line with your strategy. You could have someone who's got a good strategy, but they go in and they want to play around or try new things in sim, and that could bring out bad habits that actually, you know, bleeds into your real trading and your real account. You know, another thing, and this is a big thing with sim and us specifically here, you know, you can get a simulated account outside of Top Step Trader. You'll be paying a monthly fee. There's no evaluation, no funded account at the end of the road. But with us here, you know, people trading in sim, they have profit targets. So they're trading to reach a profit target. Maybe you step out of line of your strategy just to put up, you know, some bigger winning days. Then when it comes to earning the funded account, you don't have a profit target. It's, you know, you start at your starting balance and you take it from there. So there's a whole new element of not having to reach something, and people might really not know what kind of trader they are as far as size goes until they get there. Last point I want to make, because I could talk about a few more things, but I think it's really important. You know, Danny was talking about numbers on a computer screen earlier. It's really important to, when you are trading live after going into sim, you know, it's in sim, it's all fake money. It is literally a number on a computer screen. You want to be able to make the distinction when you're trading a real account that your account balance or your P&L is not just a number on a computer screen at that point. It's real equity. And I had a big problem with that early on when I was trading. When it came to losing days, you know, I'd have some of these losing days that were larger than I should have had early on. And it was probably largely in part because I didn't view that as, you know, money. If I'm down $1,000 during the day, I didn't translate that into, you know, real monetary terms. It was like, okay, you know, maybe I thought this is X percent of my account, but I didn't value that number on a computer screen as much as I would have if, you know, I had to pull $1,000 out of my pocket and, you know, give it to Dan or something like that. So really important to keep in mind that this is real money. If you don't, you're going to be a lot looser. Those, you know, losing days, you're going to, you know, let them go a little bit further and hope they turn around. So be aware of the pros and the cons to simulated trading. It can be really good, but it can be detrimental. And then once you're live, you know, have realistic expectations. Every day is going to be a little bit different. You can only profit or lose what the market gives or takes away from you. So it's not always realistic to say I want to average $1,000, you know, day every time I have a winning day. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
We got some questions rolling in too.
Sure. I was wondering to announce, but my connection's a little unstable here. So if you see me fall off, that's where I'll be.
Well, we got people mentioning your location. First off, I want to give a hello to Alan, Felix, Justin. Justin says, Jack, looks like you're in some good hunting conditions in the background there. Jack is up in the north woods of Wisconsin. Good area to be. Ray.
I am mountain.
We got Ray. Amazing to hear advices from professionals. Thank you, Ray. We got Dolby Time hopping in here. Dolby, good to see you. Manny. We got questions from PD and Manny. We'll start with PD here. PD Legend. Is that the most common issue, holding losers too long and getting out too soon? Hogue, we'll kick that right to you. I know you talk about that topic a lot.
Well, I mean, in a simulated account, there is no accountability and no consequence. If you want to hold on to a trade until the cows come home, till it becomes profitable, it's not going to cost you anything. So it does kind of create, a possible bad habit in thinking, okay, well, when I was trading on sim, I'd hold on to this and I'd be down 10 grand, but the 3 days from now, I'd be back to even and up a little bit on it. So if I just hold on to everything will eventually come back, which is great if you've got the pockets for it, but most of the time it's not going to be the case.
Yeah. And that's a problem, holding loser too far. That's a problem in and of itself. It's not really, it doesn't matter if it's sim or it's live. I mean, I guess it matters less if it's sim because it's fake money, but that's a problem in and of itself.
But
Absolutely.
Strangely enough, that is when, if I was trading sim, I found it easier to just puke a big position and be done with it, rather than, because I don't feel that same hope of like, maybe this could come back right now. And I mean, that hope was always sort of my Achilles heel.
I'm happy you mentioned that, because I'm sure there's two camps of people like that, where it's easier to hold a losing trade in a live account, because you may be hoping that it's going to turn around, whereas you don't care as much in a sim account, or it's easier to hold a losing trade in a sim account because it's sim, you don't really care about it. And you might be a little bit more stingy with the funded account or a live account.
This rolls really nicely into the next question we've got here. Can you describe the best trading drills for sim? I'll hop on that really quick. I think number one, Mick mentioned it when he first started talking. When you're in sim, your job is to execute based off of your strategy. So don't take those trades because it looks like, hey, this might be a ripper. You don't want to take that type of trade. You want to trade strictly based off of the strategy you have. And a couple of things that I would say working on in sim, making sure you're not touching your profit target or your stop loss. Leave them in. Let those trades play out to start to get some valid information on, is this strategy actually working for me or not?
I like that advice.
Mick, got a question for you just about pro accounts. This is coming from Ricardo. Am I able to make more than $5,000 in the pro account, or does it stop once I hit that $5,000 limit?
We have a cap of $5,000 in the pro
Thanks
account.
for answering that. And then Petey's just following up. I have a problem of if I take any drawdown on a trade, then when it gets back to even, I bail too fast, not letting the setup work out as I thought it would. Well, I think Petey, that kind of goes back to the point that Manny was just kind of asking about drills to work on in sim. Let it go. Get some information. You'll learn more about if that strategy is working for you. You're going to start to find that maybe when the market does, when this setup comes into play, it's really not that profitable of a trade, or vice versa.
Well, I want to say one thing about the last comment that came in. If you puke or get out of a losing trade, I mean, you should have had a reason for getting out there. Either you thought the market, was not going to go in your favor, had stopped going in your favor, was going to go further against you. I mean, if you get out of the trade or you hit your pain tolerance, I could only risk that much on the trade. I mean, you had a reason to get out of the trade in the first place. If the trade goes back after you get stopped out or take yourself out and it goes back to your average price, well, okay, in hindsight, that'd have been nice if you still had it on, or even if it goes in your favor. But so what if it goes in your favor back, back to break even or further in your favor? I mean, you had a reason for making the decision to get out of the trade, whatever it may be. You've got to take that and move on to the next opportunity.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, you being the even is a pretty arbitrary target that just happens to be where you got into the trade. So unless you have a reason, like Mick was talking about, yeah, it's not always just a great idea just to be like scratching trades like that. But I know the feelings there for sure. I've been there.
Absolutely.
if you're-
Murph. Oh, go ahead, Hope.
If you're always going to optimize your strategy, you may never find out if your strategy is actually going to work.
It's a great point. Murph just added, I feel more pressure in the combine than I do in my own account. I feel like I have to make a certain amount and I have to push myself too much in the combine. Murph, number one, I think don't look at the combine like you have to prove anything. Your job is to trade just like you would in any other account. We have profit targets so that we can start progressing you forward throughout our steps and into that funded level. But there's no pressure on how long it takes to get there. There's no pressure on what you have to do to get there. We're not going to, when you pass step 2, we're not going to jump in there and go, hey, you know what? I didn't like that trade you took back on January 3rd. Therefore, I'm going to make you go back. There's nothing like that. Trade what your system is, trade what your strategy is, and don't feel the rush. Just like in your, in your regular personal accounts, if you have your own brokerage account, your goal is just to continue to take the little bit of money you start with and make it a little bit bigger and keep doing that over and over again. And the same principle applies within the trading combine. Once you continue to make that little into bigger and bigger, you're going to hit those targets and you're just going to continue to progress forward.
And this might be a little bit inside baseball here, but might as well get into it as long as we're kind of put it all on the table as far as the combine. But I mean, because it's all objective, we definitely do see people occasionally, shall we say, employ strategies that seem maximized to say pass a step with the trading combine, but you would never do with your own money in your own account. And that's all good and well. You'll still get funding, but what's the point of getting funded if then you didn't learn what to do, right? I mean, just something that I've noticed. So are those all the questions, Dan?
Yeah, that's everything we got so far. Thanks everyone for chiming in and bringing your questions. If you have more, remember Hogue and I are live every day at 8 a.m. Central Time and 3 p.m. Central Time. And we have all the time in the world to answer as many questions as possible, or at least a good amount of time. So don't hesitate to bring in those questions every time.
100%.
Sounds great. Well, that's all I have for now from the Northwoods. Hogue, you want to sign us off?
Hey, now, this is second week in a row. You're cutting us off before I give my quote.
I always forget the quote at the end. Please enlighten us, Dan.
All right. So I like this one. It comes from one of the founders of this country, Benjamin Franklin. Kind of an interesting guy. We've probably all heard of him. And I love this quote. Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. So if your strategy is not working and you're just taking loss after loss, don't keep executing on that. Stop for a minute. Let's fill those holes and keep moving forward.
Yeah, sounds like somebody who's just kind of dying by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and hopefully you found this useful. It's an interesting week. It's tomorrow is the inauguration, so watch yourselves. Be careful. Make sure you stay clean. Wash your hands. Get out there, profit, trade well. We'll see you next time.